So our focus is about philanthropy. So just kind of want to ask you, Millard, how did corporate philanthropy and corporate giving start at Choate Construction?
Well, first of all, a little bit of background. My dad was an electrician, but I was raised on a cattle farm. We didn't have a lot of money, but elements that made an indelible mark on my life was, despite that, you always were part of the community. Neighbors, you always helped neighbors. We didn't have a lot of money growing up, so I do believe that we're stewards of what God wants us to do with it. And it's not just dollars, it's time, it's personal service and commitment to things. So when we started Choate Construction Company, we continued those elements, if you will. My wife and I do things on the private side, and that made an impact with the people here in our company. And we always have believed, as part of our core values, one of our 4 core values is stewardship. And so it became ingrained that way.
Why did you decide to use your company resources to give back to the community?
I think it creates the character of the company. It creates a sense of excellence. And it just shows people that you care about them, more importantly.
You describe your company, I was reading on your website, as a family. Your employees are a family.
They are.
You have some incredible statistics when it comes to employee retention, probably unheard of in the construction world.
Yeah.
Do you attribute some of that because of your take on corporate philanthropy and giving back, that your employees are happy to work here, they're proud to work here?
Well, again, I started in my basement, and I literally would go upstairs to my real family, downstairs to my corporate family, and as we grew, we stayed that way. In other words, we have 5 Southeast offices, we have 8 operating divisions. Each is a smaller microcosm of a family. And to this day, I think it's imperative that we teach our people that we care about them. And one of the ways you do that is demonstrate you do for others as well.
How did your philosophy of corporate giving evolve over the years? You started in your basement,
Yeah.
so and here you are in an office overlooking 400.
When companies are young, they don't have a lot of cash. Let's face it, a lot's at risk. In my particular situation, I risked everything. And so you have to be very, very protective. You have to drive for profitability to maximize returns fairly and service your clients. But we still did a certain amount of contributions to causes, even on a small scale basis then, but more importantly was time, service, volunteerism. We embraced that, involved with many of the causes that we're still in today. So that's kind of the genesis of it.
So it really wasn't just about writing a check, but it was having your employees volunteer as well.
Yes.
It's important.
And it's just a philosophy. We promulgate that here. We try to let people know, we're not all here as robots, automatons, just to do a rote function every day, but we're here as people. Our number one asset, and you'll hear this often, is our people. And you got to take care of them. You've got to show them, give an example to them on how to get involved. It gives them a sense of accomplishment, pride, and they learn there's more to it, as we say, than just money. And some of our people have blossomed so beautifully, who never got involved initially, and now they're pumped up to do whatever cause we choose to sponsor.
How did you make this a part of your DNA of the company, and when did you realize that it had really taken root with your employees?
We got involved very early on due to a personal connection in several causes, one being the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. Through the years, we've sponsored various events, like we just had our 8th annual car show benefiting CF, and it spreads. People see it, it's osmosis, it's contagious. And it just dawned on me a few years ago when we had 60 volunteers out there, and they could sense what they were accomplishing, and it just dawned on me after illustrating examples through the years, they finally got it, and they said, wow, we can do things. And since then it's spread. It is a fire that you kindle, and then it takes hold, and then as new people come in, they gradually become imbued in it as well.
What are the bottom line benefits to your company of giving back and going beyond profit, and how has this been good for business?
We look at return on investment on the business side. It transcends into the philanthropy side. We want to maximize the fundraising, but more importantly, what are we going to do with those funds? Now, how does it benefit Choate Construction Company? It inspires our people. It makes them proud. It makes them fulfilled, is a good word, I guess. It makes them feel that they have a sense of purpose. In that regard, it shows them that we care about them, and it creates a bond. Productivity, enthusiasm, again, as I said many times, getting pumped up is a result. We're cohesive, and we've been fortunate that our people have embraced it in that regard. It's really ROI all over again. And it's just an esprit de corps that's one of the many outcomes of this involvement.
Can you think of a story of an individual? We talked a little bit beforehand, but you had some incredible stories. But can you think of one where you thought, wow, and you could kind of sit back and think, what an impact?
The Devereaux Foundation, we built a campus for them several years ago, and it's pretty amazing. At the and they take in, honestly, the kids that are really on the downward spiral. We had the ribbon cutting ceremony, and this young man got up, big robust young man, and he said to the podium, he said, let me tell you my story. He said, grew up in West Atlanta in the hood. He said, my dad was in prison when I was 2. My mother was on crack. I had no home really. And then later on, I got hooked on drugs, and I just was so wretched, so destitute, so ashamed. I tried to end my life, and they saved me. And by the grace of God, I got sent here. And he said, what they did, instead of beating on me, was use psychology and illustrate how I could turn my life around. And I did. He said, next week, I get my degree from Emory University. So that has stuck with me through the years. And so salvaging lives, whether it's Devereaux or Bright Futures or Goshen Valley or any of them, it's a phenomenal thing that is terribly fulfilling, both for our people and for me.
What advice would you give to a fellow business leader about getting started? And think about kind of that small business owner who doesn't have a lot of cash,
Yep.
or maybe even that big CEO who doesn't think philanthropy is top of mind.
Well, first of all, study successful businesses. Proof and theorem. Proof is the key. Study corporations that excel in it, whether it's Chick-fil-A or I could go through a litany of them, but why do they do it? And what has been their results? So study that carefully. I think it will inspire people to say, wow, there is something to this. Jackson Healthcare is an example. And say, why do they do it? What's the return? We don't flaunt it too much. This is kind of unusual, but we don't publicize what we do. But it's the internal part that's key. Do as much as you can, even if it's just volunteerism, and set the example for your people. The end result is not, the beneficiaries are not just the causes. It's not just the charities. The real beneficiaries are your people.
Why should every Georgia leader pledge to go beyond profit?
do it for yourself, number one. Of course, do it to benefit the causes that need your support, but there is a true ROI internally.
What does Go Beyond Profit really mean to you?
Go Beyond Profit really means that we have the ability to bring together top flight businesses to commit, put your hands in the pile, and say, we are going to promote corporate philanthropy, not just private individual philanthropy, but promote this within great companies. And I just think it's a great platform for inspiring corporations to do it. We all do individual philanthropy, and we all, as companies, don't get me wrong, we still contribute from a corporate standpoint, but I think this is an educational platform that it will inspire our people, and it will make CEOs think, wow, we can learn from each other, and we can promote philanthropy from within.
Why did you lend your leadership to Go Beyond Profit?
I like the concept. Again, getting critical mass, getting the businesses that are involved to set the example. I think it's a great concept, and it shows that we can all come together and inspire other businesses to make this part of their corporate philosophy and everything. That's the beginnings of the philanthropy from a corporate viewpoint. So it's just that in strength there's numbers, and I believe that this group will be trend setting, and I believe it's going to spread like wildfire.